Hi guys, here are my examples of the modality principle. My first example is what I feel a good example of the principle. So I'm going to act as though you guys are a class of students, so I'm going to speak to you like that. And here we go. So today we're going to be reviewing for our Great Gatsby test using TimeToast. So once you get onto TimeToast and create your account, these are the steps you need to take to create your review timeline. So on the screen, we want to click on Add Timeline. And for the title, we can just put The Great Gatsby Review. Publish status, click on Public. Category can be Art and Culture. And we can leave this photo as it is. Then we click on Create Timeline. And this is our screen. So we want to create 9 events because there are 9 chapters in the book. So we want to review by describing a little bit about each of the 9 chapters. All right, so let's do one event together so you understand how we're using this timeline. So I'm going to click on Add Event. Like I said, we're doing one event for each chapter, so we'll title this Chapter 1. Just to keep everything in chronological order, let's use January 1st as our first date, then January 2nd as a second date for Chapter 2, and so on and so forth. For the description, let's describe a little bit about what happened in Chapter 1. So we can say in the first chapter, we meet Nick, Tom, Daisy, and Jordan. We also begin to understand the distinction between old money and new money. All right, so we'll write a few sentences about the chapter, and then we want to choose an image to represent what was going on in that chapter. So since this is Chapter 1, I'm going to use the cover of the novel as my image. After I upload the image, I click on Done, and then my event can be created. So here's the first event. If you need to fix it or edit anything, click back on the event, and then you guys can continue adding the rest of the 8 events. So to share your work, I want you to print this. So here's what you do to print after you finish everything. You want to move this over to Public, and then you click on View This Timeline. Scroll down, click Print, and then this is what your printed timeline will look like. So that's my example of the modality principle being used well. And I'm going to switch gears here and show you an example of this principle that is not being used so well. Bear with me, I'm going to pretend like I'm a math teacher for a little bit. And again, I'm going to talk to you as though you're my class of students. All right, so we're going to learn about the quadratic formula today. And the first thing we want to do is look at the problem we want to solve for. So we have x squared minus 8x plus 14 equals 0. So the first thing we need to do is identify a, b, and c and plug them into the quadratic formula. In this case, a equals 1, b equals -8, and c equals 14. So let's look at what that would look like if you plugged it into the formula. It would say x equals minus -8 plus or minus the square root of -8 squared minus 4 times 1 times 14 all over 2 times 1. After that, we want to use the order of operations to simplify the quadratic formula. So we have x equals 8 plus or minus the square root of 64 minus 56 over 2, and that can be simplified to read 8 plus or minus the square root of 8 over 2. Then we want to simplify the radical if we can. So in this case, we can simplify it into x equals 8 plus or minus 2 times the square root of 2 all over 2. And then the last step is to reduce the problem if we can. And in this case, we can reduce it by 2, giving us the answer of x equals 4 plus or minus the square root of 2. So this is the use of the principle that isn't the best, simply because we have a lot of different symbols and a lot of different numbers and letters that I'm spouting out that students might not be super familiar with, and I was going at a pretty fast pace. All right, so those are my examples of the principle. Thanks.